Hey there, the Urban Fishkeeper. Today I want to take you through this unit, the shelving unit or the rack unit, and just give you a bit more details about how it's set up, the size of the tanks that are on here, how I'm doing the filtration and supplying the air to the unit. So to start off with, the unit itself is a racket unit, and it's a racket 400. The 400 indicates the weight that each shelf can take. There is also a racket 1000 unit, but that's a little bit deeper front to back, and I don't need that kind of carrying capacity per shelf. The stand, and I've purchased this from Bunnings. For international viewers, Bunnings is a massive hardware chain in Australia. You can buy anything from tools, all the DIY stuff you want to, all your gardening supplies, etc. Bunnings carries all of that. So the unit comes from Bunnings. The one thing I will say though, in order for you to use the racket 400 and carry a weight up to 400 per shelf, you need to make sure that you buy the cross brace. And the cross brace are these little plates or these little steel inserts that fit underneath. They're really cheap. They're less than $3 each, and for this size you need 4 per shelf, and then you can carry, you can put up to 400 kilos on it. I'm not getting anywhere near to that kind of weight, which is fine, so that makes me feel a lot more comfortable as well. From a sizing point of view, the uprights is 1.8 meters. From left to right, these struts are 1.5s, and you can buy this in different lengths. So you don't have to go with 1.5, you can make it smaller if you want to. I'm not too sure if there's a bigger one. And then from front to back, it is about 42 centimeters. So that's the size of the stand. At the moment, on the top shelf, I have 5 aquariums. 4 of those are the Kmart 20-litre aquariums, and there's one in the center, which is this one, which is also a 20-litre aquarium. It's just a different brand that I was testing. I didn't go with that because it's got a plastic bottom, and I'm not a big fan of that. So everything else is just the Kmart 20-litre tanks. The middle row is the same thing. There are 6 of these, and these are the Kmart 20 litres as well. And on the third shelf, there is 3 40 by 40 by 40 centimeter cubes, and then right at the end, the one right at the end here, that is a 21 litre tank that I use as a hospital or quarantine tank if required. The air supply to the unit is supplied by a Aqua One. I think the correct name for it is Pond O2 8000, and it does 70 litres a minute of air supply. That's what I use for my air supply. Now you can use whatever you like, but from how much air am I using in this unit? I've got a lot more than this running off that Pond 8000. And 70 litres a minute is adequate for me at this stage. I've got another 20 or so better cubes that I'm going to be filtering with air as well at some stage, and we'll see how it handles an additional 20. But at the moment it works perfect for what I'm using it for. The air is supplied through, so I use 19mm irrigation pipe from Bunnings as well. And it's just poly pipe. I don't know if that's clear there, you can see that. I buy it in the meter lengths as opposed to buying the roll. The roll is obviously a lot cheaper. The reason I buy it in the meter lengths is because it's already straight. Makes it easier to connect them up, and easier to work with. So that's what I use for supplying the air to the actual shelving unit. You'll need you'll need stopper for the end, so 2 stoppers. You'll need a T-piece in the middle, and you'll need a bend at the top, and then however you want to connect it into your air supply. From this poly tube, or from the irrigation tubing, I then pierce in little holes, depending on how many filters I want to supply with air. And I then, into those little holes, I screw in the microjet threaded inline tap. Let's see if we can get something on that. There we go. Now, these are great. So you make a little hole in your irrigation pipe, you turn this in. It's got a tap on it that you can adjust the airflow, and then you just connect your silicone tube to the other end, and then from there to your filter. The only thing I don't like about these is the price. So you get 5 in a bag, and it costs almost $12 for 5. So need to find an alternative. I've been testing some other alternatives, just using normal airflow valves that you can buy to your local aquarium store. But that's what I've got mostly running on here at the moment. From a filtration point of view, all the top tanks, so the top row, they're all filtered with sponge filters, and I just use this brand, Serenity. Let's see if we can get that. Yeah, there we go. And I use different sizes. So the ones that I'm using in the top tanks are bigger than these. And when you buy them, you'll see that they'll indicate on them the amount of volume that they can filter. Now this is a tiny one, and this one can do 40 liters. The ones that I've got in there are probably double the size of these, and so can adequately filter that 20 liters that's in there. Not expensive. This one was for $4.95. So depending on where you buy it, if you buy it online, you could probably get it for a little bit cheaper as well. But that's what I use across the top one. In the middle row, all of these tanks are using Madden filter system. And for those that are not familiar with the Madden filter system, all it is a block of sponge, and that fits really firmly into your aquarium, in this case at the back, and then behind that you have a PVC pipe with a bend. So you buy the bends, you drill a little hole in, you provide air into that just through an air stone, or you don't have to use an air stone. It then forces the water up the PVC pipe into the main part of your aquarium. The water then is pulled through, effectively through that sponge block, back into the back to pump back again, and so in so doing then filters the water. I like that system. One is the sponge is dark normally that I use, so you can't see through the back. The other thing is it gives me quite a big surface area for bacterial growth. So if I compare that to the sponge filter, just a normal sponge filter like these, the Madden filter to me is a much better filter solution. On the third row, again, I just use sponge filters, and in these tanks I have either 2 or 3 sponge filters. Now, where I have 3, there's normally a reason for it. If you have a look at this one, I just have a really basic sponge filter here, but the top of it can be rotated, the outlet, and it can also be adjusted. And the reason I use something like that on this particular aquarium is I like to make use of these kind of containers, and this is just something you can buy from a local dollar store. All I do then is I drill 4 holes in it, put stainless steel bolts in it, cover the bolts with some heat shrink so that it doesn't scratch the glass. I cut out a little section, as you can see, cover that with mesh, and then that fits into the top of the 40 by 40 cube, as you can see here. In there I then put fry if I need to for rearing. They can be fed in there. The rest of the tank, the aquarium can have other fish in it, and I can also regulate how much water I want flowing into there, so I can have reasonably strong flow. I can have a really gentle flow of water, and that's the reason for that. In the discus tanks, the secondary filter, or the second sponge filter, is this particular brand that I use, and I'm sure there's other brands that make exactly the same thing. The only reason I use this is because I like a particular concept on them, and the concept is the fact that they have an opening, or they have a section at the bottom that allows you to put other things in. So fundamentally it's exactly the same as a normal sponge filter, but then you have this little section at the bottom that turns out, and you can then put in that little section whatever you like. Now it comes with 2 little bags of ceramic balls that you can put in there, but if you wanted to, you could put in activated carbon, you could put in anything else you like in there. And there's 2 because that's a double unit. So those are really good, and I use those on the discus tanks. So filtration, quite straightforward. I also use for raising fry or for eggs, and this fits in any one of these 20-litre aquariums, is the little Zeiss. And these little Zeiss cubes are really good in the sense that they've got stainless steel sides. You can get it in, I think it's 2 sizes, a 0.2 mm and a 0.7. Connected to your air supply, it then pushes the water up into the little container, goes out. So you can keep, you can raise fry in here while it's in one of the 20 litres with other fish, no problem at all. I've used this successfully to raise a handful of ram fry, and I've also used this to raise some better fry. So really good little cubes, really enjoy them. So yeah, if you're looking for something that's good and good quality, then I'd say the Zeiss is worth looking at. From a lighting point of view, nothing special. Lighting just has to be functional. So one is I want to be able to see what's happening in the aquarium, and 2, it must be able to at least sustain the plants that are in there. Because the other thing I do like to do is all my aquariums have plants in them of some form or another, and the reason I do that is, one is it helps the quality of the water. The other thing is, especially in these breeding, well, what I call my breeding 20s, where you've got fish that may have a tendency occasionally to be a little bit aggressive with each other, like the dwarf cichlids can be, it provides a lot of hiding space in between all the plants. So I like to have as much plants in there as possible. The other thing for the lights for me is I like to have a night option, which normally just implies that the blue lights stay on when you switch it across to that. And I use that in particular for when the discus are breeding. Now they've just laid eggs, and we'll have to see how that goes, because I've been in and out of this room all day, so I don't know if that stressed them out a bit. But I like to leave that on at night so that it's not totally dark in the room. The lighting for the 3rd rack is not the same or as intense as the other 2. The reason for that is I only really want lighting on the middle cube. The other 2 cubes I just want less. I don't want the light to be as strong, because for the discus they're not big fans of super bright light. Well, mine aren't anyway. On the top shelf, the reason there's only 5 tanks is that light unit, which is the same as the one that you see there, fits perfectly over 5. If I put 6 tanks up there, which it obviously can take, it means that the light will then be resting on the top plastic cover. For me, that's not ideal. Heating, I'm fortunate that I live in Queensland, so bar maybe 2 months of the year, the temperature doesn't really drop. Maybe 2 months of the year it gets down to 20 degrees in this room, if that. So the rest of the year it's warm enough. Today in this room now it's 27 degrees in this room. So from a heating point of view, the cubes, so everything on the 3rd level, the 3 cubes as well as the hospital tank, they all have Aqua One heater systems in them. The middle row, none of the tanks have heaters in them. What I do is I make use of a reptile mat or reptile tape, and that runs under all of them. It's a heating tape, it runs underneath all of them. That's connected to a Aqua One Easy Stat unit, which measures the temperature of the first aquarium, and that then regulates effectively the temperature across all 6. The top ones, no heating whatsoever. I don't use any heating in that. I may have to see how that goes in winter, but at this stage nothing. I do also though have a small portable panel heater in this room that if I need to, I can use. And that's mostly determined by whether my green tree pythons need more temperature, not necessarily determined by whether any of the aquarium's temperature is going a little bit low. So that's the heating. The other thing, this unit, there is still space below. Now you could, if you wanted to, on this unit, add in another 6 of these 20-litre Kmart aquariums, or you could put in, say, 2 grow-out tanks right at the bottom as well. I don't like to have things that low down, or any aquariums that low down. I find it uncomfortable to work down there, and it's just not something I enjoy, having it down there and viewing and working on them. So I just use the bottom space for storage, and as well as for keeping my aged water for doing water changes. That's the other thing that I'll probably just quickly mention. The advantages of using something like these small 20-litre aquariums is if you want to do a 10% water change, or 20%, however many you want to. It's as simple as grabbing a jug like this and scooping up 2 jugs of water. These are 2 litres, so that's just over 10% water change done, and you can add back as well from your aged water, just straight using these little containers. So from a water change point of view, I really like that. And my view is, and we're going to test it out, because even though there's discus down here and there's some discus fry, that probably won't stick around for long, and I'll move these on or move them out, and we'll try something else, breed something else. The other thing is, I'm reasonably confident that we could probably breed a fair amount of different varieties of fish in these 20-litre aquariums. So we'll give that a try as well and see how that goes. Anyway, that's probably it when it comes to this unit, the shelving unit. If there's any questions or anything you'd like to know in particular about this, please just in the comment below the video, just ask and I'll answer it. The next video that I'll be posting up will probably be either the Madden filter, so what does it actually look like, and just showing you one and put one in an aquarium so you can see effectively how it works. Either that or just a rundown of the Better Barracks, which is really just made out of a bookshelf and using little Kmart plastic containers and a Bunnings bigger container for a sump filter effectively. So I might do that, one of those 2 in the next video, and hopefully get that up next week. So once again, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you soon.